Want to know if the difference between the Kolob 74941 and the 74760 is more than just 181? Which is actually better in SnowRunner? Well, this is the video for you. Hello and welcome to another SnowRunner truck video, this time a SnowRunner showdown between the jazzily named Kolob 74760 and the 74941. I've put these trucks together because they fulfill relatively similar roles, and because originally I found them monumentally irritating. But before that, just a quick thank you to my first Patreon supporter. Woo woo. A few of you asked about merch to help support the channel, so I've actually set up a store thing and a simple donation tool. Helps me make more videos, yay! Anyway, you would think that a pair of giant Russian trucks with all the wheels would know how to go over bumps. But until recently, the Kolobs would hit a bump and then come to a complete halt. Not Captain Halt.
So much time with your ear to the pavement, it's a pity a truck hasn't run over your head.
So I decided to make a video about the twin steer instead. Go check it out. I used the word until because thanks to recent patches, it appears the situation has been rectified, on console anyway. PC owners are sadly having to wait for snout and flatface to be fixed at the time of making this video. Because of how rugged the Kolobs look and the high prices, which are not that far behind SnowRunner's most expensive truck, the pre-order only Navistar 5000 MV, I was hoping to be bowled over. How can trucks that look this cool be bad? I thought. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There are two trucks in the Kolob family. The first we're going to talk about is the Kolob 74941, aka Snoopy, which costs $118,200 and cannot be bought in Michigan or Alaska, nor can you rescue it for free. It lives in the heavy class alongside 11 other trucks, including the Caterpillar 745C, Pacific P12 and P16, and the aforementioned Western Star 6900 twin steer. These are basically the big trucks that are limited in versatility, but designed to get stuff done. The Kolob 74941 has engageable all-wheel drive and diff lock, and rather annoyingly for those who love customization, can only have the color of its wing mirrors and a few other panels changed, as opposed to the entire truck, which is normal for every other truck in game. Licensing or a bug? You decide. What I will say is that the standard camouflage is cool anyway. Choice continues to be a foreign concept when it comes to the tyre selection. You can have mud, mud, or mud. I went for mud, which I think was a good choice, although maybe mud would have been better. No, seriously, the 59-inch 2 and 3 versions are typically the best in mud, so you may as well go that route. Don't get too excited about the saddle selection either. There's just the high saddle or no high saddle. Put it on if you are pulling a big trailer, leave it off if you're buying from the trailer store because the game automatically decides what you need. When it comes to snorkels, you get the illusion of choice, as the standard tall front-facing one is taller than any of the paid upgrades. So unless you like a particular style and can avoid really deep water, you don't get a choice here either. The second truck, meanwhile, is the Kolob 74760. Like its sibling, it's also in the heavy truck class, plus it has the same 59-inch size mud tyres and the same stats, although I never really bother looking at this. It does, however, cost $135,000, so it's pricier, and has a 40-litre bigger fuel capacity. Where the two trucks differ most, however, is in the fact the Kolob 74760 is equipped with always-on AWD and diff lock. That means it can be in any gear and get maximum performance. That's the theory anyway. Customization is equally weak for the Kolob 74760, as you can only have no saddle or a high saddle. So just like the other Kolob, it's made for trailer towing duties only. You cannot even make it a mobile repair vehicle unless you tow a maintenance trailer, which is less efficient. You can, however, choose from all the paint jobs for that authentic Transformers look. I'm not going to mention when the movie came out again, but like its sibling, there is only one type of tyre, and it's mud, or mud. Don't forget mud. When I originally looked at the Kolobs, I was going to do two separate videos, but the fact both trucks scraped their nose on a pebble annoyed me so much that I went with a versus. But as I said, both trucks appear to deal with this issue far better now, and potentially other trucks that struggled, such as the Azov 73210. In fact, the Snouty McSnoutface 74941 now appears to glitch its way through some surfaces, like a pig burying for truffles. Unrealistic, yes, but it makes both trucks infinitely more pleasing to use. When it comes to moving, the 74941 has more agile steering, partly thanks to the ability to turn all-wheel drive and diff lock off. It's also got a superior turning circle and feels generally nimbler, but not nimble by Tega 6436 or Veron AE 4380 standards, obviously. It also has more traction than the 74760, although it's not great until you go into the low gears and engage diff lock, at which point it's slower than the Azov 64131. And we all know how slow that thing is. Fortunately, you can jump into the high gear faster than in a lot of trucks for a quick speed boost. You can do this by tapping the clutch button. It's actually a shame that both Kolob trucks are hamstrung by the advanced special gearbox, which is great on the TUZ 420 Tartarin, but a bit slow in most other applications such as the aforementioned 64130 Azov. It's not that going slowly is bad before I hear any complaints, it's just that you can usually pull all but the biggest trailers using the high range gearbox, which means you get the job done faster, and faster means more efficient, unless you fall over of course, which in the AMK MK38 is extremely likely. Anyway, now it's time to see how both trucks do side by side with the sound of music. Some of you may recognize these tests from my best scout truck video. After this, I'll then let you know the winner, why that is, and whether the Kolobs are worth buying in SnowRunner. Don't say I don't do anything for you. And now the winner! Drumroll please. I genuinely thought this would be a painful video to make because both trucks were so prone to scraping the ground. But in light of the fix, they've now moved from being horrendous to recommendable for slow and steady progress through any terrain. Sure, the limitations of the add-ons and issue with heavy trucks in general make the off-road class better value, because a Tega 646 really can do everything. But for worrying less about falling over and peace of mind, Team Kolob now makes sense. But you want a winner, don't you? It's surprisingly close actually. The 74941, available to buy early on in the game, is the one to go for if you want maximum stability, maximum traction, and can wait a year to arrive at your destination. Such is the aforementioned low gear diff lock necessity. It also has a lower range and can be quite thirsty when the going gets tough. Think 25-ish liters per minute. Meanwhile, for those who prefer more speed and less involvement, go with the 74760. It's not as agile, but once up to speed, it's got more of that unrelenting TUZ 420 Tartaran vibe. Both Kolobs are great off-road, but this particular one is just noticeably faster more of the time. I also prefer the engine noise. Genuinely, both trucks impressed me. I just wish there was more of a benefit in going for the less useful heavy trucks over the smaller off-roaders. Plus I was hoping for truly unstoppable, but both Kolobs are a little less powerful than I thought. As much as I hate to say it, for sheer pulling power or rescues, you may just want to stick with the free-to-own Caterpillar 745C, which is niche because it cannot tow trailers, but it is truly exceptional off-road, and you can get one for free, and then spend your money on something more versatile. Then again, pink wing mirrors are mighty tempting. I'm going to need some more time in some of the other heavies to call out a definitive heavy class truck winner, but I will say the Kolobs have set the bar at a decent height. High enough to stop hitting the ground anyway. And on that note, it's time for a brief recent comment from the Tube of You. That sounds gross. I probably did a few too many last time, but some videos I deliberately leave it out, so I try to add a few more in another. First up is Billy Watson, who said, "I giggled like a little kid when you hit the Don." Yes, that was a particularly fun part of my twin steer video. I like to try and invent stuff to do that's just a little bit weird, and that truck made it very possible to be an idiot. More easy than the Kolobs, I'll say that. Jake Thompson laughed at my inability to say my lines properly. Towing gets guff. Love it. Yeah, that was in my Caterpillar 745C video. Honestly, sometimes I just cannot get my words out for love nor money, which is slightly irritating. And then there are people who want to argue outside my window, so I have to throw tea bags at them. Prismec S. Anyway, said on the subject of my as of 64131 video, more like the most boring truck in SnowRunner, and then the tongue out emoji. Yeah, it's definitely not the go-to if you want mad thrills and excitement and gnarliness. It's a sedate beast, I'll say that much. Not Yet Dead said, G29 works and makes such a difference. Had to dial down the force feedback completely, as it was just too strong I wouldn't straighten, but will be amazing when they get it sorted. So the most recent hotfix update was meant to help PS4 gamers with their light issues and other graphical problems, but it also added in support for the G29, which is the PlayStation steering wheel from Logitech, and the G920, which is the Xbox One and PC alternative. Not really a huge amount of difference between the two. I've actually got the G920 and will be making a video about it, because I've wanted to play this game with a steering wheel for so long. Was it worth the wait? That's the question. Lastly, oh my god, it's Balboa said, "This dude could read me a bedtime story and I'd be out of it in minutes." Once upon a time, no, just kidding. That service is only for my premium members. I wasn't sure at first if this was a compliment or not, but I think it was intended that way, which is nice. And on that note, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, share, join my Discord. Take care, bye.